Hello teachers, learners, and parents. Sir Jeff po, at your service. Alam nyo ba na meron tayong website na tinatawag na DepEd Commons? Ang DepEd Commons ay binuo upang gawing accessible ang pagtuturo at pag-aaral dito sa ating bansa gamit lamang ang inyong mga smart devices gaya ng cellphones, tablets, at computers. Dito ay maaari nating ma-access ang iba't ibang learning materials mula sa Department of Education. Meron itong mga interactive materials, electronic self-learning modules, at instructional video lessons mula sa DepEd TV na tiyak na makatutulong sa pag-aaral ng mga mag-aaral galing ka man sa public o private school. Walang problema dahil welcome ang lahat dito. Para ito sa mga guro, magulang at mga mag-aaral mula sa kinder hanggang grade 12, alternative learning system o ALS, at pati na rin ang special education. At huwag kang mag-alala dahil kahit walang load ay maaari mong ma-access ang mga learning materials. Tama! Libre ito. Ang kailangan mo lamang gawin ay i-on ang iyong data at buksan lamang ang iyong browser at i-type ang commons.deped.gov.ph. Alam na ba ng iyong mga kasamahang guro o mag-aral ang tungkol sa DepEd Commons? I-share mo na ang video na ito upang matuto rin sila kung paano gagamitin ang DepEd Commons sa mabilis at napakadaling paraan. Muli, ito po si Sir Jeff at kita-kits po tayo sa DepEd Commons. Paalam!
Magandang araw! Sir Wilbur po, at your service. Narito ang ETUlay upang gabayan ka sa inyong pag-aaral upang lubos na maunawaan ang iba't ibang paksa o subject. Ang ETUlay ay isang free online tutorial class na pinangungunahan ng DepEd Educational Technology Unit sa pamumuno ni Undersecretary Elaine Del B. Pascua. Ang programang ito ay hindi lamang para sa mga bata, kundi ito rin ay magsisilbing gabay sa mga magulang at mga guro kung paano nila ituturo o gagabayan sa bawat asignatura ang kanilang mga anak o mga estudyante. Sa kasalukuyan, ang self-learning module mula sa rehiyon ng Calabarzon at kilala sa tawag na Pivot ang ginagamit sa ating ETUlay online class. Kaya ano pang hinihintay ninyo? Ihanda na ang inyong mga ballpen o lapis, papel o kwaderno at samahan kaming itulay ang pagkatuto para sa bawat batang Pilipino. Sama-sama tayong magtutulungan para malampasan ang mga hamon sa panahong ito. Halina't matuto kasama ang inyong online tutor sa oras na ito.
Magandang Lunes ng hapon po sa ating lahat na masugid na taga-subaybay dito sa ating ETUlay sessions. So welcome po to another ETUlay session. Tutor Lester po, at your service. Ay nasa ikalimang linggo na po tayo, or the fifth week of the final quarter for the school year. Sa linggong ito, pag-uusapan po natin ang paksang various light phenomena. So at the end of the session, you will be able to, the students, to first explain the different phenomena of light such as reflection on the concave and convex sides of spoon, mirages, light from red laser passes more easily through red cellophane than green cellophane. Clothing of certain colors appear different in artificial light and in sunlight. Halos, primary rainbows, secondary rainbows, and supernumerary bows. Why clouds are usually white and red clouds dark, and why the sky is blue and sunsets are reddish. And as usual, sisimulan po natin ang ating tutorial session with a 5-question pretest. Simulan po natin sa unang katanungan, mga kaitulay. Which of the following shows the correct sequence of rainbow formation? A, refract, reflect, refract. B, refract, refract, reflect. C, reflect, reflect, refract. D, reflect, refract, refract. Ang tamang kasagutan po sa katanungan ay letter A, refract, reflect, refract. Question number 2. Which of the following is true about rainbows? 1. Secondary rainbows occur in order Roy G. Viv, or red, orange, yellow, green, violet, indigo. 2. Purple can be seen in primary rainbows. A, 1 only. B, 2 only. C, both 1 and 2. D, neither 1 and 2. Ang tamang sagot po ay letter D. A secondary rainbow is above the primary rainbow. True or false? Tamang sagot po ay true. 4. A spoon is a double mirror. True or false? Tamang sagot po ay true. Question number 5. Both sides of a spoon can give different image orientation. True or false? Tamang sagot po ay true. Okay, so let us revisit some concepts we had already discussed in the previous weeks. So ito pong nakikita nyo ngayon dito sa slide. So this is the humble spoon, which is a part of all our lives. So if you still remember, what type of reflecting surfaces does this spoon has? Okay, so the spoon both have convex and concave surfaces or reflecting surfaces. So these reflecting surfaces produce both real and virtual images, respectively. So what type of image does these two reflecting surfaces of the spoon show? So according to what we have learned from the previous week, excuse. Okay, the photo shown on the left is from the convex reflecting surface of the spoon, which of course is a convex mirror. So all convex mirror produce an image behind the reflecting surface, which are all virtual and upright image. And on the right side of this slide, this is the front side of the spoon, which also act as a concave mirror. So all concave mirrors form images in front of the reflecting surface and form inverted and real images. So we can find in the figure shown how light reflects and the image is formed if we trace it according to the ray diagram. So the light reflected by the mirror, if traced, we can see an image being formed behind the mirror. So if this object remains in place, the image form will stay in the same location regardless of the position of the observer. So how do we draw the ray diagram? So if I remember this right, so itong skill na po ito ay naituro na po sa atin during our junior high school science. So, okay, let us demonstrate how the ray diagram is drawn in convex mirrors. So the first ray coming from the top of the object should travel along the principal axis. So ito po yung principal axis. So the first ray should travel along the principal axis and is reflected by the surface of the mirror. Then we trace the reflected ray in such a way, that its extension will pass through the focus or the focal point of the mirror. So in convex mirror, the focal point is located behind the mirror. Then we draw the second ray. So the second ray will travel all the way to the surface of the mirror and is reflected back in the same direction. Then we trace the reflected ray in such a way that its extension will pass through the center of the curvature, which is marked as C. So the point where these two extensions meet, okay, dito po. So this is the point where the image is formed. So as you can see, ano po ang orientation ng image natin? Okay, so the image form is upright and diminished. So meaning mas maliit po kaysa sa actual object. So images that are upright are virtual images. And now we trace how light is reflected and image is formed in a concave mirror. So unlike the convex mirror, the image form in a concave mirror is formed right in front. Okay, so the image is formed right in front of the mirror. And of course, the image location remains the same regardless of the location of the observer. So this is how light is reflected. Okay, this is how light is reflected or refracted rather in a concave mirror. So ganito po natin dapat i-draw ang ray diagram if we are drawing the ray diagram for a concave mirror. Alright. So we can see here, okay, this is the surface of the mirror. Okay, and then we have here, okay, the center of curvature, which is written as C. So the center of the curvature is the radius of the circle, assuming that this concave mirror is a part of a whole circle. Then the focus, this is where all the reflected ray converges. So dito po nagtitipon-tipon ang lahat ng reflected ray. The distance from the surface of the mirror to the focus is called the focal length. So to draw the ray diagram, we draw a straight line from the top of the object all the way to the surface of the mirror. Then upon hitting the surface of the mirror, the reflected ray passes through the focal point. And then we can draw ray number 2 and ray number 3. However, we can draw any of them. We can draw ray number 2 only, or we could draw ray number 3 only. So for ray number 2, we draw a ray that passes through the focal point, excuse, so we draw a ray that passes through the focal point and upon hitting the surface of the mirror shall be reflected and travel parallel to the principal axis. Then for ray number 3, just draw a ray that passes through the center of the curvature and upon hitting the surface of the mirror is reflected back in the same direction. So the point where all these reflected ray intersect, this is the point where the image is formed. So ano po ang orientation ng image from the slide? Okay, correct. So it forms an inverted image. And all inverted images are real images. And now let us discuss Mirage. So we always observe mirages on a hot sunny day when we are on the road. So makikita po natin ang reflection ng mga sasakyan na nasa harapan po natin if they are at a certain distance. So these mirages also gives you an illusion of water ahead if you are walking in a very hot desert. So in the slide, you can see the reflection of the jeepney. Right, so you can see the reflection of the jeepney. So we have an inverted image formed just in front of the actual jeepney. So how are mirages formed? So mirages really have nothing to do with water at all because sometimes mirages gives us the illusion of water. It is really all about how light travels through air. So normally kasi when light travels from the sun and straight to the atmosphere to your eye, the light travels at it is straight line. And of course, if the light travels at different medium, light also travels at different speed. So it may have a different speed when it travels through the cold air, and it has a different speed when it travels through hot air. So mirages happen when the ground is very hot and the air above is cool. So the hot ground, ito pong sa may ground, so this warms a layer of air just above the ground. And then when the light moves through the cold air and into the layer of hot air, the light is bent or refracted. So the layer of warm air near the ground refracts the light from the sky. So it forms a U-shaped bend. So our brain plays a trick on us thinking that light travels in a straight line. So the bent light from the sky is refracted as it passes from the cooler air into the hot air and into the back of your eye. So our brains play a trick on us as it assumes that the refracted ray follows a straight path. All right. So this is also one of the reasons why many mirages appear as blue water. So if we are walking in the desert, we think that we may have stumbled on an oasis. Parang nakakakita po tayo ng oasis ahead when in reality, we are only seeing a shimmering image of the blue sky. Right? And now let us witness what will happen if we perform an experiment where we try to let a red or green laser, excuse, if we try let a red or green laser pass through a red or green cellophane. So let us start with the red laser. So what we will be seeing here is a red laser passing through a red cellophane.
And I'm going to pass it through the red gel.
All right. This time, okay, this is a green laser passing through the red cellophane.
The green color. What's the new? Not go through the gel. Okay, well, here's the green gel. Okay, good.
Okay, this time, the setup is a green laser passing through a green cellophane. All right. And finally, a green laser passing passing through a red cellophane. All right. Okay. So these are the things that we observe in the short video clips that I have shared. So a red laser can a red laser. Okay. Sorry for the sorry for the what's this? May pagkakamali lang po. This is red laser can pass through a red cellophane. Hindi po ito kanat. Nagkamali lang po. All right. Anyway, so a red laser can pass through a red cellophane pero hindi po pwede with a green cellophane. So same with the green laser that can pass through a green cellophane but cannot pass with a red cellophane. So what causes the phenomena? So let us remember from our discussion from the third week. So white light is a reflection of all the wavelengths of white light. So we can disperse white light into different wavelengths of color with the use of a prism. So the image shown here in the slide shows us the white light being dispersed into different colors when it is refracted through a prism. And when it comes to how we perceive color, okay, it is due to the absorption and reflection of light's certain wavelength or colors. So, for example, kung nakakakita po tayo ng bagay na sa tingin natin ay puti, that means all of the colors are reflected. And if we are seeing black, all of the colors are being absorbed by the object. And when we perceive an object to be of a particular color, such as itong dahon po, the color of the leaf is green. So that means that all other wavelengths are absorbed by the object while the green is reflected and is interpreted by our eyes as green. So sa kaso po ng laser at cellophane, so the red cellophane allows the red laser to pass through. Pero when it comes to the green laser, the red cellophane absorbs the green laser light. All right. So the same is true with the green laser. So yung green laser can only pass through the green cellophane but cannot do so with a red cellophane. So the general rule is that each cellophane or color filter will only allow a light of its own color to pass through. Okay. And now let us discuss rainbows. So as we all know, okay, rainbow is a multicolored arc. This is made by light striking water droplets. So makakakita lamang po tayo ng rainbow if the sun is directly behind us. So basically, the image shown here in the slide cites the condition that allows you to see a rainbow. But what is the physics behind the formation of the rainbow? All right, so the following conditions must be met for you to be able to view the rainbow. So the sun and the cloud showering the rain droplets or the raindrops are situated opposite to each other. And with that, the observer's gaze is upon the cloud. So doon po tayo nakatingin sa kaulapan while the sun on our back is shining on this rain cloud. So if we are looking at a different orientation, so hindi po natin makikita ang rainbow. So it is worth emphasizing that the rainbow isn't formed, but instead it cannot be observed by the observer who is gazing at the sun and not at the rain clouds. So, ganito pong nangyayari. So, raindrops from the cloud, okay, the raindrops suspended in the air, split the light coming from the sun. So, it disperses the light from the sun in a precise manner. So, light strikes at a certain angle that corresponds to a particular color. So the angle is measured with respect to the line of sight of the observer. So the color red can be visible when the sunlight strikes a raindrop at an angle of 42 degrees. Whereas ang violet naman, makikita po when the angle formed is 40 degrees. The rest of the colors can be visible when the angle lies somewhere in between 42 and 40 degrees. All right, so we discussed the physics behind the formation of the rainbow. So when sunlight enters the raindrop, it is dispersed into the several colors of white light. And it travels all the way to the opposite side of the drop. So in this side. Then, some of the light may be refracted. So yung ibang light rays po, pwede pong mag-exit while most of the light is reflected. So most of the light undergoes total internal reflection. And in reflection, the angle of incidence is equal to the angle of reflection. So as we can see here, the violet ray is reflected more inward than the red ray. So from here, makikita po natin that the colors invert when the light is reflected. And then this inverted light finally exits the drop. And as millions of these raindrops, as millions of raindrops refract the sun's light, so these stripes of color nga na nakikita natin sa rainbow is finally being perceived. So yan na po ang nakikita natin na rainbow. So from what was shown, the colors of the stripe should be visible linearly. Pero ang nakikita po natin ay the rainbow is arched. And also, from what is shown, the order of color should have been violet, indigo, blue, green, yellow, orange, and red. Pero, ang nakikita po natin sa primary rainbow is this sequence of color. Red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, violet. All right. So the drops do transmit yun po talaga ang naitatransmit ni color. So the violet is above red. But the violet transmitted by these raindrops passes above the observer's head, whereas the red wavelength transmitted by these raindrops meets the observer's gaze below. So that is the reason why we can see this sequence of color: red, orange, yellow, green, violet, blue, indigo, and violet. And now let us discuss secondary rainbows. So yung primary rainbow, that is a much clear version of the rainbow. So the primary rainbow follows the refract, reflect, and refract route. The secondary rainbow, okay, which is formed above the primary rainbow, follows a different route. So it follows the refract, reflect, and refract route. So which means that the light is reflected twice before exiting the raindrop. So in the slide, we can clearly see the difference as to how the light is refracted and reflected between the primary and secondary rainbow. So the order of the color in the secondary rainbow is Roy G. Viv, or red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, violet, but can be viewed as violet, indigo, blue, green, yellow, orange, and red. Because, okay, why? Because in the secondary rainbow, gaya po ng nasabi ko po kanina, the light is reflected internally 2 times. So the order of the wavelength is different from that of a primary rainbow. And then, why do clouds appear white? So ngayon naman, pag-usapan naman po natin ang kulay ng mga ulap. So these clouds appear as white. So tandaan po natin, sunlight is a white light. And as it passes through a cloud, it also interacts with the water droplets. So that's why we are seeing this cloud as white. So when the cloud heavy in water droplets appear gray, especially dito sa sides at dito sa base, so it signifies that the scattering of light does not reach these gray areas. And rain clouds have bigger water droplet than the typical white clouds na nakita po natin. And then bakit po blue ang sky? Alright, so when the sunlight reaches the atmospheric particle in the sky, the blue light is scattered away more strongly than other colors. So this scattering of blue light gives the impression that the sky is blue. And clouds can take on a red or orange color during a sunrise or a sunset. So that is because during sunrise and sunset, the sun is very low in the sky. And the light has to travel through more of the atmosphere. And as a result, the blue light is scattered and deflected away, and more of the red and yellow light reaches the earth. So giving the impression that the sky is red or orange. All right. So now let me give you the summary of the things that I have discussed. So first, spoons act both as a convex and concave mirror, producing virtual and real images. And the mirage is an illusion that is created with the refraction of light in the layers of hot and cold air. The color filter allows light of its own color only to pass through. If it's not, light is being absorbed. Primary rainbow follows the refract, reflect, refract route, whereas the secondary rainbow do the refract, reflect, reflect, refract route. Then a cloud's color is determined by how much light scattering has taken place within it. The color of the sky is determined by the wavelength of white light that reaches the earth. So during the day, more of the blue light is scattered, and during sunrise and sunset, more of red or orange light or yellow light is being scattered. Alright, at yan po ang ating tutorial session para sa linggong ito. So sana po nakatulong po ang ating session dito sa ETUlay para mas maintindihan nyo po ang inyong self-learning module for the physical science for week number 5. Ito po ang inyong tutor para sa session na ito. Tutor Lester po, at your service. Kita-kita po sa susunod na linggo sa parehong oras. Para sa bata, para sa bayan. Maraming salamat po.
Sigurado ako na marami ka na namang natutuhan sa ating ETUlay tutorial session ngayong araw. Tandaan, ito ay hindi lamang para sa ating mga mag-aaral, kundi pati rin sa ating mga minamahal na guro at mga magulang na kaagapay natin para maituloy ang pagkatuto sa kabila ng nararanasang pandemya. Patuloy ding sumubaybay sa DepEd TV para sa mga araling ginawang video episodes. Mapapanood ito mula Lunes hanggang Sabado, alas 7 ng umaga hanggang alas 7 ng gabi sa inyong mga telebisyon. Abangan bukas mula 1:00 ng tanghali ang iba pang aralin sa ating ETUlay free online tutorial session sa English. I-like and subscribe at manatiling nakasubaybay sa ating ETUlay tutorial session sa DepEd Edtech Unit FB page at Educational Technology Unit channel sa YouTube at sa DepEd Tayo at DepEd Philippines social media accounts. Paalam!